to talk a little bit about my upbringing um, in Guildford. I was born in Guildford, 1977, in St Luke's Hospital, which I believe now is called St Luke's Park. And my dad said that when I was born with my eyes open and I was sitting on his arm, looking around the room. So I was a bit of a freak of nature when I was born. But yeah, I just want to basically talk about my upbringing a bit without mentioning the names of anybody else. Excuse me, I'm gonna put my Nicorette lozenge down there. It's getting in the way. Yeah, I was born in Guildford, St Luke's Hospital, which is now St Luke's Park, apparently. And I was born on the day of St Luke, which is the 18th of October, which is quite a coincidence. I believe that I was born at night time because my dad says that he remembers going back from the hospital to serve breakfasts because I was basically brought up in a guest house, a budget guest house, like a no frills kind of. I think it was like £10 a night for a room when I was younger. But my dad worked really hard, um, and this guest house had like about 30 beds, I think, and about 12 rooms or something. Like there were single rooms, twin rooms, double rooms, family rooms, and the it was on a split level. So outside the front door was the road, and then on the other side of the house it was a story lower. So it was a split level house. But I was brought up in that house. I don't want to mention names or addresses. I mean, people that know will know. Um, but yeah, growing up in a guest house, I was kind of like I used to have my breakfasts with the other guests, so I was constantly seeing people from all over the world. I mean, even though it was like a budget guest house, it was quite artistic. Like there was loads of copper and brass in the breakfast room on the walls, and like artifacts, and it was quite old fashioned. Even for the 70s, it was old fashioned, or the 80s, it was old fashioned. But yeah, I went there. The first school I went to is called Purely Down Infant School. Then I went to Holy Trinity Church of England Middle School, and after that, Guildford County School. I got expelled from Guildford County School for truancy, um, truancy, drugs, basically tobacco, weed, alcohol. So I got expelled, and then in '93 we moved to Weymouth because the tourist trade kind of in Guildford, the tourist trade kind of dried up. My dad said it was because of the A3 bypass. So after the tourists dried up, he started taking in shop fitters, people that were fitting shops in the high street, and then that dried up, and he had to take on DSS people, basically NFA homeless, no fixed abode homeless people. And then after he had to take on DSS people, I mean, I think he stopped doing breakfast at that point. I can't quite remember. I think he might have for a while, but it kind of went downhill from there. You have to remember there was quite a serious recession in the early 90s. There was what they called the boom and bust recession after the whole yuppie thing. If you remember, under Margaret Thatcher, there were the yuppies, which stood for Young Upwardly Mobile Person, and there was all kinds of excesses, materialistic excess going on. So they moved to Weymouth. But growing up, I was quite happy. Sort of, I always had I was always had clothes, and I was always very well fed and well educated, and I was quite happy growing up until I went through puberty, and then I went off the rails a bit. I mean, I went quite off the rails. I mean, I used to wear like Dr. Martin boots and like a long black jacket and listen to Guns N' Roses and Iron Maiden and Metallica and all that kind of thing. So yeah, after puberty, I kind of went off the rails. But growing up in Guildford was great. I mean, Guildford was considered to be one of the richest towns in the country. I think at one point it was the fourth richest town in the whole nation, and it is the county town of Surrey. Quite a few people lived in London during the week and would come back to Guildford for the weekend. There's actually an express train station that goes all the way from Guildford straight to London Waterloo in about half an hour, 40 minutes, and that wasn't far from where we used to live. It's about a 5 minute walk from where we used to live. Um, but yeah, growing up, I was quite into the Citadel miniatures and Warhammer role play, and I never really got into the role playing or the figures properly. My dad spent a lot of money on us um, having all these Citadel miniatures and Warhammer books, which was kind of cool. And yeah, uh, you know, um, generally I had quite a good upbringing. I thought I was tough when I was in Guildford, but when I moved to Weymouth, I realised that I wasn't as tough as I thought I was. After getting into a few fights here and there, um, but yeah, I haven't been to Guildford since 2016. Um, but yeah, there's all kinds of anecdotes I could share with you about me growing up in Guildford. But ultimately, I was very, very, really quite well off. Even though my dad was working class, we always had plenty of money. I mean, at Christmas time, we'd have stupid amounts of presents. Um, my dad bought me quite a few Star Wars toys, like AT-ATs and Millennium Falcons, and all sorts of things. I mean, to a certain extent, you could say I was quite spoiled as a child, but at the same time, I was disciplined. I mean, my dad encouraged me to do karate. I got 7 belts in the end. I used to do 3 hours of karate twice a week. The style called Sekijuku, which is an Okinawan style of karate, and swimming lessons as well. And so I was kind of spoiled, but at the same time, I had to go undergo certain disciplines. I don't know when I'm going to go back to Guildford. I might do. I don't know. Last time I was there, I got in trouble with the police. I literally got like parvered by the police after I'd been drinking. I woke up in someone's back garden and I had a little struggle with the police, and they basically squirted me in the eyeballs of them. I got 3 squirts straight in the face of this parva stuff, and I'm not exaggerating. It literally feels like your face is on fire when you get hit with that stuff. It really, really burns. uh, um, yeah, yeah. Growing up in Guildford,